Hi there, my name is Aaron Short. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today is January the 9th, 2023. How's everybody doing? I'm back in the studio. I like this backdrop. I think I'll keep this for a while. I like the, I feel like it, I like that it looks good, and I feel like it tells you what I'm doing here, which is a good thing. Just trying to improve some things here. Okay, awesome. All right, so welcome. A few things on my agenda today. I'm going to talk about hearing, some problems I've had this week with some pain. Nothing serious though. I think it's just caused by an accident, and I'm going to talk about that. And I've got something to talk about personal as well. And then every week I get these questions coming. I love it. I get a question every week, and I just go off, or we just go off on a tangent based on what people are asking about, the gear they're asking about. So I'm sure this week will be no different. So I'll just start with those, my stuff, and then we'll get into a question. So if you've got a question or a topic for today, do put it in the chat, okay? So yeah, last week I did three shows in a row, and they were all shows where I used in-ear monitors. And this is just a warning to people that I've been thinking about myself. When you wear, this might be really obvious to you, but when you wear headphones or in-ear monitors, many people say that's safer than not wearing them and using an amp or a monitor speaker. That can be true, of course, because the headphones, if they fit well, will block out the outside sound, which is great. And you have control over the volume. Here's the problem, though. You have control over the volume. This is what I'm thinking. Now, some in-ear monitor systems will tell you the level, or at least they'll have a limiter. So if they go too loud, if you suddenly get a loud volume through them, it will reduce the volume. So what I'm using doesn't have that. What I'm using is simply a headphone out of my pedal into the in-ear monitors. So it's up to me to keep that volume at a reasonable level. And also, the thing to remember is that it's not necessarily how loud you listen, it's how long you listen. It's a combination of the two things. So if you listen to 60 decibels for, I'm going to mess it up though. If you listen to a low volume obviously a low volume for a short time is fine, right? A low volume for a really long time should be fine if the volume's low enough. A really loud volume is not ideal, but for a very short amount of time probably won't damage your hearing, although still not advised. But a really loud volume, or even a louder than what's the word I'm looking for? Louder than adequate volume for too long, it's that duration. So if you're a few decibels over what the ears want to hear for, say, 4 hours, then that is going to cause damage. But the reason I'm talking about this is that I got some pain in my left ear last week after a gig. But I don't think it was the volume, actually. I think it's something else. I think it's the fact that the left earplug didn't fit correctly, and I kind of like pushed it in. I was getting so frustrated that it was coming out and I was hearing less bass. What happens is if the plug doesn't fit properly, you hear less bass. So I was like forcing it back in again. I think I just harmed the actual ear itself by doing that. But anyway, today it is better. If it was a hearing loss thing, then it wouldn't get better. Today it's definitely gotten better. But the great thing is, I'm lucky. My ENT, who is the one that helped me with my voice a few years ago, is in the city, and I thought, oh, I'd like to go and see her again and get her to check out my hearing, because it's been many years since I had a hearing test anyway. And I wasn't going to go, but I realized that they're next door to my gig. So I booked an appointment tomorrow before the gig. So I'm going to go and have a hearing test. Hopefully have a hearing test, have my ears checked out, and I can let you know next week what the results were and what was actually causing that pain. Was it physical in the ear canal, or was it too much volume? Was it a combination of both things? But it's definitely worth bearing in mind. Just because you wear in-ear monitors doesn't necessarily mean that you're protected. It means you're protected from the outside world, but you could still have problems with the amount of volume that you push through them. So bear that in mind. And then the second thing I wanted to talk about was one of our friends. I wasn't sure if I would talk about this or not, but I think I'm going to. So if you've been on this channel on the live stream since the lockdown, you'll know Brad Bradstock. I'm sure a lot of you are friends on his Facebook page. You might know what I'm going to say. But he was suffering from cancer, sadly, and he has no. Last week he passed away, sadly. So I just wanted to let you know, because if you've been on the streams, you'd have seen his name. We did some videos together. He was. I considered him a friend, as I do people that watch the channel. You know, I hadn't met him. I hadn't met him in person. We met through the lockdown, through the necessity of doing the live streams. He was doing them for a school he worked at, actually. So he was actually an IT manager for a school, and he was doing these shows every day. I remember I used to wake up at 5 a.m. in American time, and he'd be going live, and I'd go and say hi. And he was doing kids songs, and I thought that was cool, because I used to do a kids program years ago. So I enjoyed that, watching him do that. But then once I got to know him, I realized he also was an excellent songwriter, performer, and he was into the gear. Like, he bought a VoiceLive 3, he was into the gear and preamps, but he wasn't completely obsessed. He wasn't like, looking for different guitars and pickup systems like I am. So we had that in common. He was into the music stuff, but also into the music equally, I felt like. And if you watch his videos now, which I did the other night, I sat and watched a lot of his videos on his YouTube channel. Excellent singer, excellent performer, very musical, and even towards the end, he was still going live from the hospital. Someone was playing guitar and he was harmonizing with them from the hospital bed, which I thought that really sums up what he was like. And he was always happy, never complained. We had a few chats on the phone about some, again, the live streaming stuff like that. He never complained about his illness. He never complained about anything. He was always making jokes. He was always happy. He would come here on the chat and join in. He's just a great guy, and I'm really sad that he's gone. I was kind of aware of the situation, so it wasn't a total shock. But I'm really sad that he's gone, and I didn't get to say goodbye to him. So, cheers, Brad. Cheers to you, my friend. All right. Yeah, I didn't think you guys would know, so I wanted to let you know in case you wondered why he wasn't around anymore. I know you probably thought fondly of him too. It's very sad, but I'm happy to have known him, and I'm not going to get upset about it, because he was always so happy. He was never upset about anything, and I think that's great, and that's what I learned from him. That's awesome. So let's move on. Let's take some questions. Rosanna says hi, and everyone in the chat, good to see you, Rosanna. Thank you for moderating with the spanner there. Spanner, wrench. I'm slipping into old habits. David Belcher, hey there, my friend, good to see you. He says, rest in peace, Brad. Yeah. Thanks for that. And Rosanna too. Yeah. All right. John says, I've been using in-ears for a while at gigs, and I use the U3 system, and it has a volume wheel on a belt clip. You have to be careful you don't accidentally move the wheel. Yeah, my my in-ears are triggered. My in-ears are sent out from the Voice Live 3 Extreme. The interesting thing is, one of the reasons I moved to the Voice Live 3 Extreme is that the Play Acoustic headphone level was not loud enough. And I've been told that is a precaution. They didn't want people to blow out their ears, especially as I presume, I mean, the cynical part of me thinks this is to do with money and budget things, but I assume that the Play Acoustic was marketed towards, I don't want to say not to professionals, because I used it professionally for 10 years, but that was the entry one. I guess they were worried that someone who's new to singing and in-ear monitors might blow out their ears and could even potentially sue them. I don't know. I'm just guessing, because the Voice Live 3 is absolutely fine. It gets a lot louder. I'm not sure if it has a limiter in there or not. You just got to be careful. There's one fear people have that wear in-ear monitors. What if suddenly there is some feedback or a loud noise or a drum? That's why a lot of the professional systems, I believe, have a limiter built in to handle that. I'm not an expert on in-ear monitors. I'm quite new to the game, but that would be a great thing to have in anything. I actually have like a limiter. So if it does go above a certain level, it stops it at that level. You can't go louder than that level. It would definitely be a great idea. Mine doesn't have that, so I've just got to be careful with it, right? It's got to be, make sure I don't go too loud. And I think it's the same too with these, like sitting here with these on as well. The temptation is to just keep turning them up and up and up. And I always get scared on the computer that maybe the phone will ring or something and it will blast loud music. And that's actually happened. The phone has rung and you get that ringtone in the headphones, and it's scary because that's a loud sound. And it's not for a long duration, but it's a loud sound that could damage the ears. So I just want to make people aware of that, Don't have your amp too loud, don't have your headphones too loud. And I'm not preaching, I'm just letting you know that I got really scared when I got the pain in my ear and I thought it could potentially be hearing damage. I got really scared because you can't get new ears. If you scratch your guitar, you can buy a new guitar. If you damage your hearing, you'll never get that hearing back again. So just bear that in mind, whether you're playing with an amplifier or with headphones. And if you do have a way of having some sort of safety net on there, then use it. I wish I had that. But I've just decided to keep dialing back the volume until it's too low. Rather than start loud and come back down, start too soft and get like, how low can I have it and still hear myself? And then maybe go a little bit over that, but don't go any more than that. So it'll be interesting to see what happens at my appointment tomorrow, and I'll let you know next week. Kevin, how you doing in Southern Indiana? Pooh Ninja, good to see you. Chanel, good to see you. Paul Ashley. On my Everse 8, I have to crank the SM58 gain so high I get a lot of hiss. I hear this all the time. I need to investigate this, and I don't get this problem, but I hear this all the time. People say all the time that the SM58, the Shure microphone, doesn't have a lot of gain. Well, I guess it doesn't, but it shouldn't. It should have enough. It's an industry standard microphone, right? So on my Everse 8, I have to crank the SM58 gain so high I get a lot of hiss. On my 330X, it's helped by a Shure inline transformer, but it squeals on the EV8. Is there a high gain mic that would help? So my advice to you, Paul, probably is to get the SM58 Beta. The SM58 Beta has around 5 decibels more gain. I'm not completely sure what it is. It's around that. So straight away with the SM58 Beta, you're going to get more gain into the system. And therefore you have it lower, therefore you get less hiss and less noise. I haven't used an SM58 for a long time. I should pull the one. I have one. I should pull it out and plug it in and see if I get the same experience. My thoughts on this, and it's just a guess, is that I feel like a lot of people, we spoke about this the other week, a lot of people have the microphone out here. They have the microphone too far from their mouth. And when I sing with the microphone, I always eat it. I always have it like touching my mouth, which is why I don't like to share my microphone with people. So I have the mic right there. And the closer you have the microphone, the more gain you're going to get. So I've never had an issue with anything because that's how I sing. Now, another thing, I also have a loud voice. I naturally have a loud voice. And that is my source, isn't it? It's like a quiet guitar versus a loud guitar. You're going to have more gain. You've got the first thing that creates the gain is the instrument. So my voice is loud, and I sing in chest voice a lot. So I have a loud source. I have a lot of gain at the source, which is me. Then my microphone, I use the Sennheiser microphones, which have a decent amount of gain as well. And I sing close to it, because that's the next thing that creates the next gain stage, is how close you are to the microphone. And then the microphone itself matters. And then, so basically, if you either have a quiet voice or you sing in a mixed register where you don't have a ton of volume because of the technique that you're using, and you have the microphone a foot away from your mouth, and you have a microphone that has 5 decibel less gain than other microphones, you're going to get a much weaker signal into what you're plugging into than I am, right? You're going to get around 15 decibels too little of gain, and then you're going to buy a inline preamp boost like the, what's it called? Those dynamite sticks, or there's a name for them. I can't think what it is right now. But you plug that, or the cloud lifter. So you're going to buy one of those and then say, oh, I've got this okay now because that added 15 decibels of gain. Yeah, but you didn't really need that. You had those 15 decibels of gain that you've lost by not doing what I said. And by the way, I'm not going to say what I said is the right way, because some people do have quieter voices. Some people do sing in a way where it doesn't have so much projection. Some people do sing off the microphone for technique or sound reasons. And some people do like or have a microphone that doesn't have so much output gain. But and obviously you can't change how loud your voice is, not really, but you can change how close you are to the mic, and you can change what microphone you use. So I wouldn't use an SM58, although they are the industry standard, but they also probably benefit from going into high-end gear with lots of preamps and compressors and things. So I personally would, if I was doing bar gigs, would use an SM58 Beta. I would get really close to it, because again, you're not in a listening room. You're going to get a lot of background noise, and that background noise goes into the mic as well when it's turned up. So you want to be right on top of the mic. You want to use an SM58 or similar in volume, and then set it up from the speaker. So let's see what you're saying here. Bemo, I think when Pooh said throw thumbs up, he meant I think he meant hit the like button on the chat. I don't know, maybe he didn't. Paul said, I tried it kissing the mic. Really? You made out with the mic and it was still a problem? You're not a good kisser then, Paul. By the way, do you get background hiss? I don't get any background hiss on the EV8. I mean, I would if I turned it to full volume and I turned the treble to full volume. I'd get hiss, and I would on any piece of equipment. I don't understand it. But the problem is, without being there and watching you play, I don't know what's going on. But here's something that I know will help. Get an SM58 Beta, because straight away you'll have 5 decibels more gain right there. And that's a lot. That's a decent amount, right? 5 dB. Again, I'm not sure exactly what it is, but that will definitely help. The SM58 Beta will definitely help you out with anything. And then, yes, get close to it. Use a good cable. I use Megami cable. Some people say it's a load of garbage, but, you know, about using certain cables. Get an SM58 Beta. Get a great quality mic cable like the Megami. Sing close to the mic, and then tell me if you still have a problem. And also, don't boost like the treble. Don't boost the treble too much. If you think the sound is too bassy or too muddy or not clear enough, then cut the low end. Always cut before you boost, because once you boost the treble, then that's when you get a lot of extra hiss added in. Okay, so I know that's an investment. Some places won't let you return microphones. If there's a place that will let you audition it or return it to, then definitely try the new microphone. It is not this Everse. The Everse has a lot of gain. I've heard people say the same thing about the S1 Pro, but it's not that. It's the way it's set up or what you're plugging into it. Also, remember with the Everse, there's like 3 volumes. There's the volume for the channel, and then there's another volume, and then there's the master volume. I don't understand why there's 3 volumes. I wish there was just a gain to set the input instrument, and then a level control and a master. I guess that's what it is. It's not very conventional the way they do it. But make sure you set those, yeah. So the first one is where you actually have your instrument things. There's a level. Make sure you set that so it goes into the red and then back it off at loudest volume. And then set the next one relative to the other instruments and then use the master to do. And you shouldn't have any hiss when you do that at all. All right. Oh, this is interesting. We get tested biannually every other year to see if our hearing has degraded or if we've all had damage. What new safety measures should be added? It's called Know What Frequencies I'm Missing. Yeah, the weird thing is though, I had my hearing tested in my mid-20s, long time ago, and they said that the right ear was missing of some treble frequencies, which we put down to the fact that I always had a PA speaker behind my right ear. But when I went for a test a few years ago, they said that both ears were perfect. Actually, they said they were fine. So I don't understand. I don't understand why that was. It'll be interesting. I mean, I'm gonna get it done again. Also, I use cotton buds. I'm pretty sure that my ears might need to be cleaned out. But we'll find out. I won't talk about these disgusting things until I need to. All right. Yeah, you shouldn't need an inline transformer on the 330X either. There's something going on here. Scott Martin, how you doing, buddy? Sounds like a gain staging issue. It often is. I love my Apollo Twin interface, but it doesn't have quite enough output on the headphones. I have to gain stage exactly right to get good levels on the headphones, but it's just something I have to do. So, not many things have huge clean headroom built in, and if they do, they're very expensive. Is there an input gain like on the EV30M? Yes, it's the same. Yeah, it's too low. Yeah, you always want to set the gain as optimally as possible with anything, because that will reduce the amount of noise in the signal. Because if you have a low input gain, or even if you're a few dB below the optimal, and then you have to boost it 3 dB to make up for it, well, first of all, sometimes you can't because there's not enough headroom. And what's going to happen is that's 3 more dB of that noise that you're going to boost that you wouldn't have to boost if you set it right to start with. I mean, there'll always be a bit more because you're boosting the input gain anyway. A lot of it depends on the preamps. But typically you are going to introduce more noise into the signal. And often with these consumer products, you're also going to get, prosumer products, you're also going to get less output volume or perceived volume because you're not working the amplifier optimally. But I've had no problem. I mean, to be fair, I'm using my pedal into the Everse. So I haven't tried the mic directly in. So I should probably do that. But you've just got to gain stage it correctly, I think. But yeah, the 58 beta is not a bad idea because it's just going to give you 5 more dB wherever you go, right? Wherever you go, you're going to have that extra decibel. So whatever you plug into, you've got a healthier signal coming in. And I would say if you don't sing like loud chest voice and project, then you should definitely get one like that because you're missing a lot of gain there. It's just the way it is. Lee gets tested every year because he's working in a noisy environment. Yeah, this is actually good. This is a good topic for a video, isn't it? How often should we test our hearing as musicians? I've not had mine done for 3 years, and before that it was like 10 years or more. Quentin James says, live I use 2 Mesa Road Ready 412 cabs. Hey, no, that's fine too. My point really, Quentin, is that with in-ear monitors, like the fact that they're in your, it sounds stupid. The fact that they're in your ears and they've got that seal, if you're not careful and you crank them up and keep cranking them up, the effect of that can be louder than your Mesa 412 cab standing right behind you, right? It's all relative. It's all just stuff to be aware of. Some people use in-ear monitors and they have the cabs on stage as well. but they can't really hear the cabs because the inner monitors are blocking out all the sound. So that's more of a feel thing. But the Everse 8, maybe I should do a video on that. I did the initial unboxing of the Everse. I do like it a lot. I'm going to be taking it next Saturday to a gig. I just got a gig where I'm going to have to travel on the train. So that's what I'm going to take. The Everse 8 in the QSC bag that I showed yesterday. So I'll have more information for my final review then, but I think it's great. There hasn't been any like firmware updates or app updates. It didn't really need it. I'd like to see them do some improvements there, and add some new features if they can. That would be nice to see, but it's a solid product. The app is much more mature than the JBL app was out of the gate, and the volume is good. It looks professional. It's a solid thing, and at the end of the day, it's good because it weighs like 15, 16 pounds. So it is something that you can carry around easily. That's important to me. So I do need to do my final like updated review, and also my comparison of that to the JBL and the S1 Pro as well. But it's just been great. It's just worked for me. It hasn't had any problems. There's nothing really missing. It sounds good. It looks good. It ticks all the boxes. I don't feel like I'm really missing anything. John Berry says I've been using the Westone Ambient series in monitors, which lets a little outside noise in, so you don't feel isolated. That's cool, but my VoiceLive 3 Extreme actually has a form of that as well. The microphones are built into the pedal, so that's not optimal because the mics are on the floor. It has a low cut, so you can get rid of some of the rumbling that you might get through the floor. But then you can blend that in with the sound. And it actually picks up a fair amount of the guitar. This is an interesting product for acoustic guitarists. I'm not going to say they pick up enough of the guitar to sound like you're in a studio, but it does bleed through some of your acoustic sound. So if you have a loud acoustic guitar and you're sitting down and the pedal's on the floor, you will get a decent amount of the actual guitar sound in your inner monitors. And then you could blend that in with the pickup sound. If you think about it, you get a more natural acoustic guitar sound than you would normally get from other mixers and systems that don't use a microphone. So I think it's really cool. It also allows you to hear people talking to you between songs much easier than if you didn't have them. I just wish, and there won't be any more updates to this product. This product is done, but I still love it. But I just wish that they would let me turn that on and off with a foot switch, so I could have nothing, like just have the direct sound and be completely away from all the noise and the plates and the glasses smashing or whatever they do. And then I wish I could hit a button and that the microphones would turn on at maximum, and then I could hear someone talking to me really clearly, actually more clearly than if you're not wearing them, which is kind of weird. But in order to have those turned up while you're playing at the right level, it can also get too loud. Or if someone does someone's broken plates or hit glasses together and it's made that loud noise in the headphones, which is another potential issue with that. John says I can hear people talking to me. Yeah, you can, because you've got these Westones with the ambient microphones. I would definitely use those. If I was using them in the band and wasn't using the VoiceLive 3, I'd definitely use those. I'm sure they're great. And also, the microphones are in the headphones, right? So they're picking up the sound like your ears would. Whereas with the VoiceLive 3 Extreme, it's picking up the sound from the floor, which doesn't really make any sense at all. But it does work, and it's excellent. And again, it's all in one box. I don't have to carry other things. I don't have to charge anything. Everything is self-contained, which is why I like that product. Hi, Chazza. Good to see you. All of us current and previous Super Twin Reverb owners should get free hearing tests from Fender for making such a loud amp. Yeah, but it's all relative, isn't it? It all depends how loud you use it, how loud you turn it up, how loud is the drummer. And that's the other thing. If you're standing next to a drummer hitting the cymbal all night long and your amp's behind you, yeah, that can get absolutely deafening, can't it? I'm pretty sure, because my ear's almost fine now, I'm pretty sure the problem I had this week is that I got I got 2 sets of these. I'll leave one in my gig bag. I don't want to break them. Let's see if I can get this here. But I'm pretty sure what I did is I literally just like they weren't quite in and there wasn't enough bass. Like when they're not quite in, you just hear mid range, you hear no low end. That sounds awful. I'm pretty sure I just went like because I was playing the gig, so I'm pretty sure I just whacked it and damaged something, which is also dangerous as well. That's why I'd like to have the custom ones, but the custom ones that I tried were really disappointing. So I don't know. Maybe the ENT can make me some new custom molds and I can get some new custom in-ears at some point. But I'm a bit dubious about those after last time. What's up, Doc? There's no mic in the earphones. They just have a small opening. Oh, really? Oh, I see. Okay, so they don't completely fit the ear, but they don't sound weird like when my in-ear monitors don't fit my ear when I haven't put them in correctly. It just sounds like a cocked wah-wah. It sounds all mid-range and awful. But I guess with yours, it sounds fine, and that little gap allows in some of the noise. So it's like having a little space. Okay. And then there's some that have the mics built in. That's what I was referring to. I think Pete Thorne uses those. But I really like the Voice Live 3 Extreme because it's an all-in-one box. How could I eliminate people yelling "you suck" and still hear applause? Maybe that's more of a song choice. But well, what you do is you get the in-ear monitors to block out the external sound, and then at the end of each song, you hit a foot switch that plays this. Oh well, thank you. You're great. No, really. No, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. They're actually going boo outside the headphones. I did think about doing that because in lockdown, when I was doing the live streams, I was using the applause after my songs. I thought, wouldn't it be great to have that in the Voice Live 3 Extreme and hit a button and that gives us. And then what happens is at a gig, you know, if you go to a friend's show or something and they finish a song and no one claps and you start clapping, everyone starts to clap, right? So I was thinking if I had that sample of the applause saved, let me see if I got a better one. If I had this saved into the Voice Live 3 Extreme, oh, it's not playing. If I had a really good round of applause, like Believable, in the Voice Live 3 Extreme, then I could hit that, and people would hear it in the speakers around the restaurant and think, oh, it's clapping. Oh, yeah. That'd actually be a really interesting test. Like no one claps anything, and then you play a song that they wouldn't clap. So don't do like a big hit where they might clap. You play like your own song or a B-side or something, and then at the end of that song you hit the applause loop, and then you look around, everyone's something. Oh, that'd be a really interesting experiment. Wow, 182. I mean, I've got a 100-watt amp. I was thinking about selling it the other day. A 100-watt tube amp. Although the problem with tube amps for me is headroom, because I had a 50-watt tube amp, but I still felt like it didn't have enough headroom. I think I need 100-watt for the clean headroom, but not necessarily the volume. I don't know. That's the thing about tube amps. I really think to do gigs, it's good to have that kind of power. 182 watts is really what you want. Obviously not at full volume, but just to especially if you want the cleans to stay clean, you kind of need that in a loud band, I think, personally. Depends how loud the band is and what you're playing, of course. John says, does everyone like the silicone tips or the foam tips? The foam is more comfortable, but are a little cumbersome to take in and out. So these are the tips that arrived on these, and I never actually I never changed them. I didn't experiment with the other ones. I didn't do that. So I think these are the foam ones. No. Yeah, these are foam. Yeah, foam. That's what I've been using. Just the foam ones. When you buy in the monitors, they come with a lot of different tips. So it's good to try them all. I didn't do that, which was a bit silly of me. Yeah, I gotta say, I was thinking the other night that is a good reason for digital, because you get the tone that you want and you put it into a 2000 watt PA and you can just bring that to any volume that you want, loud or soft, and it'll be the same. Whereas with a tube amp, you might keep getting louder and louder, and then the tone is changing as you get louder, and eventually it's distorting and compressing, which might not be what you want. And then you need a much bigger amp, you need more headroom. That's what happened to me last time I gigged my 25 watt amp. It was okay because I was miking it through I had a line out to the PA, but I noticed that in a gig situation, I wanted a bit more volume than I'm used to, and it was starting to break up. I didn't want it to break up. So that's why I started the other day. I was thinking, do I really want to bother with that again? I just go digital. Rosanna said, Lee is busy at work. I messaged him about Brad. He asked me to pass on his condolences for him. Yeah, thanks, Lee. The foam is squishy. Yes. So you squish the foam, it goes in your ear and it expands, right? And it gives more bass. The problem with my left ear is sometimes as I sing, the earplug will move. So this is the problem I have. And this is the problem I had with the custom ones as well. If you play guitar and don't sing, and you're just standing there, everything is in place, right? The minute you start to sing, everything moves around. And I find that the left side will often come out or move in such a way that the sound is impacted. And that's when I'll then like shove it in my ear. And I think that's what I did last week and damaged my ear. So you got to be careful. Well, the thing is, some people don't want headroom. Poo Ninja says headroom is why I got my powerful amp. Some people want that amp to break up really quick. That's why some people gig with a 5 watt amp, because they want that dirty sound from the amp. They want that's the tone they're going for. So they get that natural distortion. If you want a super clean sound at loud volume, then you need the 200 watt headroom, or at least the 100 watt headroom, don't you? Because tubes do compress, and that's why people like them. But you've got to be more careful about what power you select from. Kevin said, changing the tip size will also change the tone, something how it fits the ear canal. Yeah, I guess ideally you want them to fit, you want molded ones, right? Custom, that fit exactly in your ear. And I love the idea of the custom ones because they're shaped to your ear and they're plastic. They're not going to fall apart. And one day I'll put these ones in with the foam tips and they'll just break apart and you have to find some more tips for them, right? So with the custom ones, you just put them in and go. You never have to worry about that. So that really appeals to me. But you've got to get the molds done correctly for you. You've got to go to someone really good. And it costs a lot of money to get them custom made, so it's hard to kind of change your mind later. Poo Ninja says the clean power comes at a cost of weight. I think it weighs more than I do. Well, exactly. That's the thing. This is the thing. I have a 25 watt combo amp that weighs like 20 pounds. And that is ideal for gigs because I was thinking about this the other day. That will give me a personal monitor. It sounds great because it's a tube amp. I can mic it up, set it to just a low volume just to hear myself cut through a little bit and then have the rest of my sound through the monitors. And as long as I keep the volume down, it will stay clean for the cleans, right? But the problem is, if you get a really loud band, 7-piece band with a loud drummer, it's going to almost drown that out. So then it's like, well, what's the point? Now I've just got the monitors. So my options I see are either take a 50 or 100 watt tube amp, which I'm not going to do. I just know I'm never going to want to take it. When I had a 54-pound combo amp, I didn't want to take it to gigs. I dreaded it. And it still didn't have quite enough clean headroom. So what I'm thinking is, if you're not going to hear the amp anyway, why not just take a Kemper, a Quad Cortex, or something like that, and just go straight in? In fact, I often say on here, a lot of gigs that I do ask me to take an amp with me, but I don't think they care if I take a guitar amp. I could take something like the Everse 8 or a QSC 2000 watt PA speaker and put it behind me. Yes, it won't look as cool, and if you're in a classic rock band, they wouldn't like that maybe. But for a wedding band, I don't think they care what the amp actually is. I don't think they care if it's a solid state amp, a tube amp, a Fender, whatever. I think they just want you to have your own monitoring, so the stage level is set by that, and then they can mix the rest for the front of house. And eventually, when people tell me to use in-ears for all those kind of gigs, I wouldn't need an amp at all, of course. If everyone said to me we're going to use in-ears at all our shows, I wouldn't bother with amps at all. So that got me thinking the other day, for the few band gigs that I do, why don't I just use digital, go as light as possible, run straight into the front of house, ask them to give me the best monitor mix they possibly can, and then if I do need my own monitoring of some kind because I can't trust the monitor engineer, then just take something like the Everse 8 and stick it behind me or beside me. So if the worst comes to worst, I can just go there and just turn that up a little bit. Okay, it won't sound like an amp in the room, and I do love the sound of an amp in the room a lot. But for the actual real world usage, I think that would be a much better way to go. And it also gives you a backup for vocals and acoustic guitar as well. So I've been thinking about that lately. Not sure if I would sell the amps or not. I think I'll keep the 100 watt amp and the 25 watt amp just so I have them. And for some small bars, a 25 watt amp would be great. That's all you need. And I'm sure it would cut through and be great and easy, simple, that and a little pedal board, great. But I think for a lot of the bigger places, like the functions I did last year and the year before for the wedding, I don't think that the amp was even, I don't think I even really heard it, which is kind of annoying. I think it was kind of a waste of time. And I think maybe the Kempo or whatever going straight in the front of the house from its XLRs would give a better sound. At the end of the day, they're just throwing like a 58 or some beat up microphone in front of the cab, right? They're not even like finding the sweet spot. They're just throwing a mic in front of it and going, which is okay. I've done that, and it usually sounds great. But to just give them the XLR out and know what they're going to get, and then run that into the some kind of PA speaker behind me. I don't know. I don't think the PA speaker will be as punchy, which is a shame. But I do think it will have a lot more clean headroom, and the whole thing will just be more portable, which is why I'm interested. I'd have to try it. I'd have to try that on a gig to know. But yeah, I do feel something in my ears. I hope I didn't cause damage. The thing is, to do 3 gigs in a row, consecutive days, where each one is 4 hours long, with one 20-minute break, that is slamming your ears. Definitely, I definitely slammed my ears. You know, the great thing about the Apple AirPods is that the software tells you, it warns you. It will say, hey, you've been listening to music for an hour at 100 decibels. You should turn it down. I need that in my in-ear monitors. I need it to tell me, like, this volume is too loud for too long. You need to turn it down. They don't do that. I wish they did. And then the other thing is the Apple Watch will actually tell me as well. Like if I'm at a band gig and sitting there watching, it'll often tell me, oh, you've been subject to 100 decibels for 30 minutes. You know, that's dangerous. That's really useful as well. But that's not the problem. The funny thing is about playing in a restaurant is people in the restaurant can barely hear me. The level's really low. They want it background. But I am hearing myself really loud, and I've got the mics built into the pedal. I'm hearing those as well. Everything for me is like super in my face. But I just have to make sure that I turn that down. I have to make sure that I keep it at a level which is sensible. So that's what I got to do. Lee, yes, I wanted to let everyone know in case you weren't friends with him on Facebook. He says, I've escaped for 2 mins. Just want to say, rest easy, Brad Bradstock. Yeah. Very, very sad. Very sad. He was a good guy. Poo Ninja says, for wedding bands, a white PA cab is preferred. That's funny you say that, because the eVerse 8 is available in white, and the other systems like that are not. So it's funny you say that. I'm gonna show us here some of this stuff, because I haven't looked at it lately. By the way, thank you for watching the news on Friday. I enjoyed doing that, and I'm pretty happy with how it's going. And for example, I think it depends on the product. This week, we're going to have the PRS SE DGT tomorrow. That's a big release. So I think that will be good to have that in the news. I think that will get even more views. I tag each brand that I have in the news, and then when you search for that product, the video actually comes up from that search, which is cool. So I'm excited for that. So this is the eVerse 8 that we're all talking about all the time. I like how it looks. I like the weight. I like the app control. Okay. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up for Poo Ninja is it's also available in white. So it's great for those wedding DJs. Look at that. Kind of cool, right? I'd never thought about that. I do play weddings, but I've never been asked to bring all white PA or anything. But I'm sure a lot of DJs do get asked that. That's what it looks like. And it comes with this cover here. And this cover is to make it waterproof. Of course, when you use that, you can't plug in a guitar. It's really for a DJ or for streaming music outside on the beach. That's nice. So that's the white eVerse 8. This is the black eVerse 8. This is the tray that I mentioned in my review yesterday of the bag. So this actually goes on top of it, and then you can mount your wireless system to it. They really think that a lot of gym instructors and people like that, yoga teachers, will be using this, and I'm sure that they will. So I won't be using it, but the reason they do that is you can mount the wireless receiver on top, and then you can power that wireless receiver from the DC output on the eVerse. So basically then you put your headset on and you go. And you're completely wireless with a system that can also be not waterproof because you've got your wireless plugged into it, but you've basically got an all-in-one wireless battery-powered system because it will power the wireless unit as well. So that's cool if you're into that. And then there's the white version if you do weddings, which is nice. And I hadn't seen this. There's a spare battery as well. I hadn't seen that yet. Interesting. So you can buy another battery. It has like 8-hour battery life, but if you want to go out for 16 hours, you can buy another battery now. And I wonder what that weighs. It doesn't say. I'm always interested in that. Like if that weighs a pound and I can take it out of the system and I'm going to play at a venue where I use power, then that could be a 14-pound speaker. But I wouldn't bother. I would leave the battery in. It's worth having that there. Was there anything else here? I was going to show you the bag, but oh, here it is, the tote bag. Yeah, so I made a review of this yesterday. I said, I won't tell you what I said, it's on the channel, but basically I showed this and showed what I like and what I don't like about it. And then I said that I'm using the QSC tote bag, which is a bit cheaper, and I prefer the form factor of it. And someone said to me there's also a Gator bag that would fit, which is this one, which is a little bit cheaper as well. That could be an option. I didn't try that one. There was a reason why I didn't want to try this one. Oh yeah, it's like the JBL bags. You have to unzip all this flap to hold the handle that's actually in the speaker, which is good because you can pull that all the way back and access the full handle, which on the QSC bag you can't do that. On the QSC bag, the opening is preset and not quite as big as it could be, but that also means the whole top of the speaker is exposed, whereas on the QSC bag only the handle is exposed. So that's why I chose the QSC bag over the Gator bag, but I'm sure the Gator bag is a decent option as well. Kevin says, I purchased a Fishman Loudbox Performer and was disappointed with it. Because I had it up on a stand. I put it on the floor and wow, what a difference. It's funny you say that, Kevin, because the other day someone asked me about how do I put the speaker at a gig, and I said, well, I don't put it on the floor because I get too much low end. I get feedback and too much low end. I like to have the speaker on a stand because it reduces the low end, and it also gets it up high so the audience can hear it at ear level and it throws out the sound. But of course, if you do put it on the ground, you're going to get more of that bass sound. And that's why people do that. It's the same thing with like an amp. With a guitar amp, a lot of people put it on the ground and it adds to the bass. But if you tilt it back, it reduces the bass. So there's things like that as well. Also, some of these speakers that I'm talking about have DSP built in that will actually compensate for how you have it. So it can tell if it's on the floor and it will cut some low end. It will tell if it's on a pole and it might add a bit of low end, and etc. So that's pretty cool too. The Bose does that. But yeah, you just got to find what works for you. I personally wouldn't want my speaker on the floor, and if I did, I'd probably cut a lot of low end from it. But if you find that the sound of it doesn't sound right on the table or a pole, then putting it on the floor is a way to add more low end. But the only thing then is you're going to get less projection into the crowd because it's on the ground, which you may or may not want, right? Pooh Ninja says, we have slip covers to match the wedding colors if we can. Black, white, silver is what we know now. It's a simple pattern to sew, basically a pillowcase. Yeah, so actually that's something that the other speakers are offering. So the S1 Pro, they did that. They sold skins, basically. So you could make the speaker itself look a certain color without buying a speaker of that color. So rather than buy a white S1 Pro and then use it at a wedding and then realize it doesn't look right for another show, they sold this one. You see? So for $65, you could change the color of your speaker and it just stays on there. And apparently it doesn't affect the tone of the speaker. So it just lives on there all the time. There's also a black one. I mean, the thing is already black, but I guess you could see it as protection. And then there was red and green. That's kind of nice. So I like that. And yeah, the idea of the white one is good, isn't it? Because again, I know you can see the handle on top, but if that was on a stand at a wedding, you wouldn't see the handle, and then it just looks like a white speaker. So that's quite nice. Yeah, that was a good idea. I never got one. That was a good idea. Danielle, how you doing? I was listening to someone perform with the Fishman amp on the floor. Sound directly in front was okay, but drastically different off to the side. That's the other thing. How does it sound in front? How does it sound behind? Everything like that as well. The other thing is, I wonder what. Oh, the performer. I was going to say with a really small amp. Let's say you've got a really small acoustic amp. It's not going to have a lot of low end, so you are going to want it on the ground to add that low end. If you have a big speaker like the eVerse 8, you've already got some low end there because it's a big box and a big speaker. So then you might not want it. So a lot of this isn't true for everything. A lot of this is dependent on several factors, really. What is the device? Like, is it a small little amp that needs more bass added by being on the ground? Or is it a big speaker that's already too boomy and you want to get it on the pole to relieve some of that bass? Then the next thing is, what are you plugging into it? Because some of my guitars have a lot more low end than I want. Like the Cole Clark, I'm cutting low end from with a shelf because there's too much low end. So a bit like I said earlier about the microphone and what you're plugging it into and who is the singer, it's the same with the amp. What are you plugging into it? What room are you playing in? How much bass do you want for the style of music that you're doing? And also, what are the other factors in the room? Are there carpets? Are there curtains? Are you in the corner? If you're in the corner of the room, you get a lot of bass end build up, right? Ideally, you're in the middle of the room, in the center of the room, and there's carpet and curtains and couches, and it absorbs some of that sound. But so often venues are not like that. Usually venues have a high ceiling, no carpets, you're in the corner, right? You're always in the corner, in the worst possible place. The ceiling has a weird trap to it that catches the sound, and so that's the thing. It's not just the speaker, it's not just the placement, it's everything. It's everything combined. So it's always good to use the acoustics of the room to set the sound that you want, and then use the EQ on your mixer to make those changes. In the same way, in this room I'm in now, I'm not quite in the center of the room, so the right speaker, when I have it on, has too much bass end compared to the left, and I then use the built-in DSP to accommodate for that, which does work, but it's better in the first place to position yourself in the center of the room and then use the DSP to finish it, rather than try to use DSP or EQ to fix problems in the first place. Poo Ninja says, mine aren't that form-fitting, but they look nice. About $12 worth of thin fabric. I do the sewing. Yeah, I guess you could, right? I guess you could just do this yourself. This is $65 for one of these thin covers in these 4 colors. So I guess what you could do is just find the fabric and make your own. But one thing worth noting though is apparently they are using this fabric that lets the sound come through. Obviously, you don't want to put a cover over the speaker and lose all your high end or something like that. But yeah, it's a good. The S1 Pro is good. Will there be a follow up? I don't know. I have a show next Saturday. I have to travel light. My CP8 is in storage at the moment. It's at another venue. So unless the venue is next door to that venue, which obviously would make a lot of sense, and I could take that same speaker, I'm going to take the Everse. In fact, I'm going to take the Everse anyway, because it'll give me a chance to try it again in a noisy bar, and then I can make a follow-up video about it. This one right here. I also, I like this. I like the fact that it looks like a PA speaker. That sounds silly, but it looks just like a regular PA speaker. So it has a good look to it. And then, yes, there's no physical controls. There's the one physical control, which you can use to control all the settings in the device, but the app is the way to go. And then there's that USB-C for charging your phone. And then there's down here, there's a DC power out for powering a wireless system or similar. I did see someone today, they'd modified that. They said that barrel connector needs to be adapted for certain pedals and things, so they'd actually taken the whole thing apart and changed that connector to a standard connector or a smaller connector. I thought, no, I don't think it's worth doing that. You're going to avoid your warranty. Just buy the adapter from Amazon. That's what I would do. Yeah, it's good. I'm looking forward to using this again next week, and then I definitely will make a follow-up video, but it's definitely a solid product. All right, let's see what's happening here. Food Ninja says, nobody puts baby in a corner. My super twin just got renamed baby. John, hello. You are so very interesting and provide much to consider. Thank you. Thanks, John. I like talking about this stuff. You know why? Let me tell you a story. When I started gigging, I had a Peavey heavy power amp with like 8 channels that I rarely used. And 2, yeah, get this. Were they powered? I think I had 2 powered speakers and a powered... I might be wrong about that. Anyway, the whole thing was really heavy. I got a new PA system. It was LiDAR. It was a used system, but it was good. It was, I can't remember exactly what it was. Had a good amount of channels, but the mixer was not active, so it was much LiDAR. And I knew I might need those channels sometimes. And it had either had a flight case or I had a flight case made for it, which obviously added a lot of weight, but was super protective. So that was cool. And it came with these two, no, sorry, the speakers were passive. The mixer was powered, but the speakers were passive. So they were nice and light compared to what I had before. The ones I had before were made from wood. They were heavy. These ones were more like plastic. So it was a bit more modern. It had some other features, and it was just generally a bit lighter to carry around. So that's what I had. Oh, also I needed a second PA system because I lived in London and I left the other PA system in the family home. So I never forget this. I didn't ask them how it worked or anything. The one I had before was more like an analog system. You just turned it up and went, had loads of power, and it was never a problem. So with this new system, I got to the venue and I plugged it in, and I plugged in a microphone, and I thought, wow, this is awful. I can't hear hardly anything. I've got the master at 10. Now bear in mind, this is like 30 years ago. I've got the master at 10, and I can't, maybe not that long ago, but 25 years ago, 20 years ago. I've got the master at 10, and there's hiss, and there's no volume. This was a big mistake. I've made a huge mistake. I do the gig. It's like a duo gig, and you can kind of hear it, but everything's maxed out and doesn't sound very good. And I'm thinking, wow, I really messed up. This is not a good system. This is junk. So I remember I contacted the company that I bought, the shop that I bought it from, and I was so mad. I was like, what is this? This doesn't work. And they said, did you set the input gain? Well, what's that? Well, you've got to set the input. And this, of course, is before YouTube. This is before the internet. And you know, maybe it was in the manual. I guess it was in the user guide. I don't know. Sometimes when you don't know this stuff, you don't know it, right? So I then played around with it and I set the input gain and I read up, studied input gains or whatever. And then I realized that, oh, this thing is really loud. I hadn't set the gains. Either I can't remember what I did, but either I didn't set them enough or they were just like on zero. I don't remember. But that really, ever since that day, I've been so hot on you have to set the gain to the optimal level for everything. Sometimes I can get a bit too over the top about it, like trying to get it right before clipping. I want to get the absolute best signal to noise ratio. Sometimes I'm over the top, but you have to at least set it to a healthy level. And you have to read the user guide for your equipment, because on some equipment they'll say get the loudest volume into the yellow and never into the red. And sometimes they'll say it's okay to have the red occasionally. And that could be the difference between like 6 dB or something. And that's, again, a noticeable difference. So always read the user guide for that stuff. So yeah, I learned the hard way. So I like to share that information. And, how would you know this stuff? How would you know about these things? And I see it on forums all the time. People saying that this thing isn't very loud, or they haven't set the input gain to a healthy level. And unfortunately, sometimes whatever you're plugging in might not have a healthy gain. Like I said, the SM58 has a lot less decibels of gain than the beta version has. So if you're having a problem, it's good to start with that. Get the beta. Vic G, what's up? Are you familiar with the mono brand gig bags? Yes, I am. Any thoughts on those protecting high-end guitars versus hard shell cases? Yeah, just have some water. I'll talk about these gig bags for a minute because I've been thinking about this week. Last 10 years, I've used the Meridian gig bag, and I absolutely love it. One of the best things I ever bought. But the guy retired. Now, I'll let you know this. Here's some information you might like. I think his daughter, she's still making the bags by hand. And the other day, the cat bit that bag. And it's fine. It still looks brand new, but the inside is ripped and the cat bit it. And I thought, you know what? This year at some point, I'm going to order another one because I've used that for over 10 years, and it's been amazing. The pockets are great. It fits well on me because I'm 6'5". Some guitar bags stick over my head and the guitar will hit the ceiling. This one sits below my headline, and the pockets are great, and it's protective, and it's easy to use, and it works as like a guitar stand at the gig because I can open it up and leave it like sitting inside. I absolutely love this Meridian bag. Look them up, Meridian. I love it. So I'm a big fan of that. But for my electric guitar, I do have the mono bag, and that's been really good too. I have to say, for ease of use, the Meridian is better for me, but the mono bag it feels more sleek and more protective. So I like them, and that's the other case that I would use. I've used their pedalboard cases. Again, they're excellent, but they're on the expensive side. I can justify the price of the gig bag more than I can the pedalboards personally. And I got a Voodoo Labs pedalboard, the last one I got for a pedalboard. But I do have this one. Actually, the price isn't that bad on these, not really. This is what I have. So it has this this boot on the bottom, this big rubber boot, and that's cool. That means you can't open it down to the bottom. Some people have put guitar bags on and the guitar has fallen out the bottom of the bag because the whole thing is a zipper. So with this, you won't have that problem because there's no zipper at the base. That's just a rubber boot to protect the bottom of the guitar, which is great. The quality is excellent. The pocket is decent, but not massive and not that easy to find stuff in. It's quite close to the body, but it's a decent size, and there's a secondary compartment in there. The handle is great. The inside quality is great. I believe their warranty is very good too. This one sits okay on my back. I don't use it that often because I don't play electric as much as acoustic, but yeah, I would definitely buy one of these again. 260, 270, that's not too bad, I don't think, when you've got say you've got a $3,000 electric guitar. I think it's worth getting this case for it. So I do recommend these, yes. Would I get their acoustic bag? I don't know. I love the Meridian so much. Oh, I also have their backpack, which is fantastic. I'll show you that as well. I have the Tick as well. I don't use this, but something like, you see, I was saying earlier about using like a Quad Cortex. A Quad Cortex would fit in this, and this would then attach to that guitar case, and that's your whole rig in one bag. I like the idea of that. So I have this one, and I have this. So you're going to say, I will review this at some point. You might see same thing. You might say, well, no, mine's not camouflage. You might say, look, $300 for a bag, you're absolutely crazy. Well, yes, maybe I am. Maybe I am. In fact, this isn't even, I don't think this is the one that I have. Let me see here. I think this is essential for me. Flyby Ultra Classic and Classic. I've got a feeling that one that I have is even more expensive than that. But I want to say, in my defense, this is something that I use 3 or 4 times a week to make my living, right? Yeah, this is what I have. This is what I have. I had this one. This is the original 250, and then this one is much better in every way for $300. Because at the end of the day, in this bag, I can fit the Voice Live 3 Extreme into here. I can fit all my cables and spare cables into it. I have easy to access compartments for business cards. I don't use the shoulder strap. I rarely use shoulder straps on bags. It's pretty sleek and thin. Again, these back straps will tuck into the back parts that are out of the way and hidden. I love it. I love it. So some people will scoff at that and say, why would you buy just buy a $50 bag from Best Buy? Well, I don't agree. For me, I mean, think of the value of what you've got in that bag. I mean, the cables, the microphones, the pedals, we're talking about maybe $2,000 worth of contents in that bag. So for me, that bag is essential, and I'm very happy with that bag, very happy with that purchase. So yes, you can tell I am a fan of mono. The only thing I bought and wasn't completely blown away by was the pedal board. It was good, don't get me wrong. It's just like at the end of the day, it was a piece of metal and a bag. And there wasn't much to it. I guess that's a good thing, right? Because it was light and sleek and there wasn't much to it. But for me, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Again, you might have $1,000 worth of pedals on this. And you might like that it is so thin. Yeah, I won't knock it. It's good. The thing about mono is, this is the truth, all their stuff is high quality. All their stuff is really well made, really well designed and thought out. And I believe, from what I've read, they have a great customer policy as well. They'll fix things, so I have no problem recommending them. And if I couldn't get another Meridian bag for my acoustic, I probably would consider the Mono Vertigo acoustic bag. Let's take a look at it. And my Meridian bag was about $350, but it's lasted 10 years, so I don't care. And my guitar's been safe, knock on wood. So let's see, look. This is the acoustic version. So again, it's not going to fall out the bottom. It's got that rubber boot on the bottom. I worry about how high it is on my back. I'd have to test that. It looks to me like that might stick above my head, which I don't like. I don't need the compartment for the straps because I would use the straps. I do like to have two big pockets on the front. This one doesn't have one up here, I don't think. I think it just has this one on the front. So I prefer my Meridian because it's very easy to get into the pocket, and there's a pocket at the top for the strap as well. So I don't think I would go for that. I would go for that. If I couldn't get another Meridian, I had to get something else, I would get this probably. But I'm going to keep using the Meridian acoustic bags as long as I can because it's just worked so well for me. But for my electrics, yes, I use the Mono bags, and they're great. It feels like the guitar is very protected by it. And especially if you get the tick bag as well and put your pedal or whatever accessories into that. You know, yes, you've got a lot of stuff on your back, but you've got everything in one trip, which is nice. Let me see what you're saying. See if you're calling me crazy over there. That was from Vic. Are you familiar with the Mono brand gig bags? Any thoughts on those protecting high-end guitars? Well, the thing is, if you've got a $10,000 Martin, then no, I would probably keep that in a hard shell case at all times. But I've carried $3,000 guitars around in the Meridian. It's been fine. A hard shell case will always be more protective, always be better, but it's a lot of hassle, isn't it? So I would say, so yeah, obviously you've got to be more careful with a gig bag. You've got to be more careful because they are a bag. They're not a hard shell case, but you can carry it on your back. It's easier to carry. These ones, like the Mono ones, are well made. They are pretty padded and protective, but yeah, you can't put an amplifier on top of it like you can with a hard shell case, although I wouldn't advise that either. But if you're a little bit careful, then the Meridian or the Mono bags are absolutely fine, but they'll never be as protective as a hard shell case. So use at your own risk. But in 10 years, I've never had anything get broken in a gig bag. Not with them. Knock on wood. Rexomatic, how you doing? Enjoyed your case bag video. Thank you. Well, I just got it because I ordered it at the same time as the speaker, and it finally showed up, and I thought, you know what, I should make a video because this is a popular product and people will be wondering about it. And also, I wasn't sure if the QSC bag was going to fit. So the fact that I know it does fit so well, I've now documented that to save someone the hassle in case that didn't fit and they got the wrong thing. You're going to order another cat? What are you talking about? Certainly not. Oh, because of the bag, yeah. No, I'm done. I've had tremolo bars chewed. I've had bags chewed. I've had cases scratched. It's all my fault for leaving stuff out in the living room. It should all be in this room. And that's another reason for downsizing. I want all the music gear in one room away from the cats. Yes, there are two cats, Harry and Lily. Oh, there we go. Jasper said, own the Mono M80, expensive but worth it. That's how I feel about their stuff. Expensive but worth it. In fact, I wouldn't even necessarily say it's expensive. I'm looking at this now. The Vertigo acoustic gig bag for $270. That's actually pretty competitive. I think my Meridian was over $300. So I actually, in my mind, they were more money than that. John says, I never understood the obsession everyone has with hard shell cases if you're not throwing a guitar on a tour bus or in the back of a truck. A gig bag is sufficient. Yeah, a heavy-duty flight case is for flying. A hard shell case is for touring or for protecting against the elements. Although some hard shell cases don't protect against the elements because they still have gaps in them and let through the cold air. So it's not always the case. Pardon the pun. But I'm the same way. I'm the same way. I don't want the hard shell cases around. They're hard to move around. They scratch the floor. I've scratched the floor with a hard shell case. I want gig bags. If I lived in a place where humidity and temperature wasn't an issue, I would only have gig bags. I wouldn't have the hard shell case at all unless I knew I'd be shipping a guitar or something like that. But I think if you own an acoustic guitar, it's worth having a high quality, solid hard shell case where you can put it in there and humidify it if you live in such a climate. And then also a high quality gig bag that you can take to gigs, right? So Vic G says, thanks for the insight. I recently acquired a used Santa Cruz OM. Nice. A busted handle hard shell case. Looking for a decent replacement and like the convenience of the gig bag. Yeah, so I'll just say again, it depends where you live. If you live in a place where the temperature and humidity is not an issue for acoustic guitars year round, then go for the mono high quality gig bag and just be a little bit careful with it. If you live in a place like me where it can drop down to 10% humidity and go up to 60% humidity, you have an acoustic guitar that's of a certain value, a certain quality, real woods, not a laminate, you definitely want to have access to a hard shell case, even if it's only for nighttime in the winter or something. You really then need both, I would say. What I love about my Meridian gig bag is that I can use that for any guitar because it's really for like a dreadnought shaped guitar. So in that bag, I can take a OM or a medium-sized guitar or a dreadnought. So that bag does all of my guitars when I only take one guitar at a time. So if I'm taking the guitar out, I'll put it in the Meridian and I'll take that out to wherever I'm going. At home, the hard shell cases are for the guitars to stay in with the humidipacks to keep them in good shape. So that's how I do it. You don't need to have multiple gig bags if you only take one guitar at a time. Pooh Ninja says the underneath of my beds is filled with hard shell cases, and that's the thing. There's not much storage where I am, so I can't justify storing an empty hard shell case. And then even the case itself is often bigger than it would be in a soft gig bag, right? So you're losing space there. And if the case is empty because the guitar is out of the case, like a Rain Song or the guitar that I'm gigging with, then that's literally just dead weight. It's an empty box. You're literally keeping the case then to sell the guitar in the future, which is annoying as well. So, yeah, interesting topic. Andora's Revenge says I would get a hard case for Santa Cruz. Yeah, exactly. I mean, certainly, if you've got a guitar that's of a certain value and real wood, I would have a hard. But again, depending where you live, everywhere's different. In England, it wasn't such an issue. It was much more constant there. Although I did have friends whose guitars did break because they were above a radiator or something. But there's certain places where it's not really an issue. You still want to protect from going to like hot to cold, etc. You might even walk into a bar, they've got the open fire or something, and you're going to be playing next to it. So it's always good to have that. But where I live in New York, you have to have guitars in hard shell cases with humidipacks in the winter. It's just, you have to. And I do leave the Cole Clark out in the gig bag most of the time, but that room has a humidifier running a lot of the time. And those guitars are pretty resistant. That's the funny thing. Sometimes the Australian guitars, or another example is like the laminate guitars, are much more robust against the elements than say a handmade Martin from the 60s or whatever, because they might have a really thin top of natural wood that can crack. Pooh Ninja says my Jackson Kelly case is bigger than my V case, and that's bigger than a coffee table. And then a lot of guitars are shipping in gig bags now. So they're going to release the PRS DGT SE tomorrow. And that is going to obviously ship in. One of the things that brings down the cost is it will ship in a gig bag and not a hard shell case. But I like that because the SE gig bags are very good quality, and then you can use it for the gig. So a guitar like that or the Silver Sky SE is ideal for gigging because it's under $1,000. It's really well made. It's in a gig bag. You can buy it and go out and gig straight away and do a great job. Yeah, I haven't seen that for a while. Pandora's Revenge says, I hate the far fireplace by the stage gig. I haven't seen that for a long time, but in England that was a thing. You know, the village pub would have a real open fire, and you'd walk in from the cold and it'd be really hot, and you think this is great, but if I'm going to walk in there with a guitar and stand next to the fire for 2 hours, that's going to be a different story. All right, I'm going to wrap things up. So if you didn't see my news series is on Fridays. The news, please watch it and leave a comment each week and share it with anyone that might be interested in any of the articles that's in it, because it'd be nice to get some more people watching the news. I feel like a lot of people will be interested in gear news because it's a place that you can come to and see everything in one place that you may have missed. And if you didn't watch the video yesterday, please do the Everse bag video. That'd be great. So that's the schedule now going forward for the foreseeable future. It's Mondays at this time doing open Q&A like today. And once again, we went on another tangent, which was awesome, about the gig bags and speakers. And every Friday will be the news. So this week should be good. We're going to have news about the PRS, hopefully some firmware updates and things like that. And then watch out for any videos in the week. So to be notified if I have a video coming out, the best thing to do is to subscribe and ring the bell. That will then tell you if I upload a video. I'm doing YouTube Shorts as well. YouTube doesn't tell subscribers about the shorts. You have to go to my channel and click on where it says Shorts. But I'm really doing them to reach out to new people because YouTube pushes out shorts to people that are not subscribed. And I like that. So it's like little ads for the channel. So what I'll do now is I'll make a video and then I'll cut out a minute of it and put it up as a short, and then that will be pushed to new people. That works really well. John said, in the winter, I move all my guitars to a small guest bedroom, put them in humidify it. Perfect. Yeah, good idea. Zane said, hi, Aaron. Everyone regards from England. Send my regards to England, Zane. Poo Ninja says, have a great week. And Zane gives a thumbs up. Yeah, like the video and check out my news. And I'd really appreciate that. And I'll be doing that again this Friday. So look out for the news. It's going to be around the afternoon. I write all the stories throughout the week. If you see anything interesting, then put it in one of the comments of the other news episodes. Someone did that the other day with Nuex. There's a product that I missed. And then Friday morning, I get all those stories and record the video for it. So that's cool. There should be some interesting news this week. I've heard rumors as well about like a new like guitar modeler. Someone asked someone the other day about a Kemper and they said to wait. So does that mean a Kemper 2? Does that mean another guitar processor? I don't know, but that's interesting. So thanks for watching. Subscribe and ring the bell. Have a good week. Stay safe. Be well. And I'll look forward to seeing you in a video soon. Thank you to Rosanna for moderating as well. Always appreciate it, Rosanna. It means a lot. Take care, everyone. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
I'm not lost, but I'm not found. I'm not up, but I'm not